Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm doing a back to school video. It is my first back to school video in this whole series that I'm going to start doing every week. I'm probably maybe going to start doing 2 videos a week for my back to school series, just so that I can give you guys as much advice as I possibly can before the month of August comes and everybody's going back to school. So this video specifically is going to be going to college. I'm probably going to title it going to college 101 or back to school college edition, something along those lines. You'll obviously see the title up above when you click on this video when it's uploaded. But I'm going to talk about all the things that I did wrong and all the things that I want you guys to not do, things that you're going to need, all that fun stuff. So tip number 1 is going to be find out where you want to live. Find out what you can handle when you go out and either live on your own or live on campus, because it is fun either way. I personally live on my own. I am not living in student housing, but that was my choice. Because I have very bad social anxiety, terrible social anxiety, so I did not feel that staying on campus was going to be a good idea for me, because I felt like I was going to not make friends, and I was going to panic too much. And so my biggest tip is don't let that stop you. If you do really want to live on campus, do it. I truly just didn't want to live on campus. My social anxiety was a key factor in it, but I also just really didn't want to live on campus. I just didn't want to do it. So I live here. I live on my own. But there is sometimes where I feel like I can't handle it. I can't make the payments, or I do make the payments, but I feel like I can't sometimes. So it was not the best decision. I didn't even give it some thought, or explore different places, things like that. So that was a bad mistake on my part. So tip number 1 is find out what you can financially handle, whether it's living on campus or living in an apartment. Tip number 2 is if you do choose to live in an apartment, be sure that you do your research, look at reviews, talk to people, call people, get different prices. I got literally 2. I went to 2 apartments, and then I chose this one, which was a terrible idea. Don't ever go that route. I have this suggestion for you guys. I'm not too sure if the whole magazine itself is going to be the same no matter where you live. I don't think this is just a Texas thing, or it might just be only a United States thing. This one specifically is for San Antonio, as you can see right there in the corner, but forrent.com is not just for San Antonio. So this is an apartment magazine. I'll just flip a page for you right here. This is some apartments. It gives you what they have. Sometimes it'll give you special discounts or stuff like that, because you have this, you're searching through different engines to try and get the best deal for your apartment. Always just call, ask questions. It's okay to tour a bunch of places. It's not a bad thing. You're not a bad person if you tour a bunch of apartments. So definitely check out places like forrent.com. There's places like Zillow.com. There's another one that I can't think off the top of my head. I'll put all the for rent sites down below, as well as review sites that go and tell you what apartments are good, what are bad. Know the rules to wherever you're living, whether it's on a college dorm or in an apartment. Know your rights, know your rules, know all of that stuff before you make your final decision. So moving on, the next tip that you want to know is how to budget what you need to get for yourself, what's needing to be put into groceries and saving and having some fun money. A big thing that you're going to have to learn, whether you are going to college and living on campus, or you're going to college and you're living by yourself, your finances are going to change dramatically no matter which one you choose. In a college dorm room, you don't really have as many bills up front, so you do save yourself a little bit of money. You have some more money to go and kind of have some free reign. You can do whatever you want. You can also, eat on campus becomes a little bit cheaper, because a lot of the times your parents help you out, get you. I know for my school it's called meal points, and you have it on a card. I'm not too sure if every other university does it. I know the most of the ones that I've toured have the same thing. You swipe your student ID and you can get food. on campus, you do have to pay for it technically, but you pay for it ahead of time, and a lot of people get their parents to help them do that. So when you're living in an apartment, you do have to pay for your own food. You need to make sure that you know how much your bills are going to be and things like that. So it does save you money in up front, but no matter what, you're kind of technically both paying bills, because for you to stay on campus, your financial aid has to pay for that. So you're going to have to pay for it at the end. So either way, you're going to have to pay for something, but when you live on your own, the bills and stuff are kind of up front, and when you live on campus, they're kind of like hidden, and you don't pay for them till you see them later. On to the next subject. When you are in college, of course, you don't have people breathing down your neck to do your assignments. You don't have people in your face telling you like you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do that. If you just don't do it, you just don't do it. Of course, you do get some professors. Like I've had a couple professors. I've had 2 that have gotten my cell phone number and will actually like text me to remind me to do things, call you to make sure you're okay. Of course, when you're in high school, they kind of can't do that because you're not really supposed to get super close to your students. It's just a law, and it's to keep the kids safe, of course. But when you get into college, it's kind of a different ballpark. You can get a little bit closer with your professors. You can actually, text them and call them, and it helps a lot, really, when you think about it, because if you have a question, you get a little bit more, not necessarily one-on-one, because they have lives too and things happen, but you're a little bit more, you have more resources and more of a community that can help you out a little bit better. But on that end, you also do need a planner. A planner is a really good idea, whether it's on paper, on your phone, an app. I know there's some people that literally plan out their day, like sleeping, getting up, eating, all this. It's like all broken down, and I don't think I could personally do that, but sometimes it really does help you to tell you what time you need to do what. This one I really like. It is bulky, and a lot of people tell you like don't get a bulky one, but for this video specifically, going into college, having a big one is not a bad idea, because sometimes your professors assign like multiple things. You have projects and finals, and every professor is different. You could have a huge presentation for this professor, and a short essay for this professor, or things like that. You have to submit a lot of things online. So you gotta remember to do that. You only have to a certain time. Some professors give you till like midnight of that day. Some professors close like your assignment window when your class starts. So if you have like a class at 4:30, you have to turn it in by 4:30, otherwise the system closes. So it's things like that you have to remember. You're gonna have a lot of different classes at a lot of different times. For the guys that are watching this that are freshmen, you're not really going to get to choose your schedule depending on the school that you go to. My school made my schedule for me, but they did ask me some like preliminary questions. They ask you, are you going to be working? When do you want to go to school? When do you want to get out? Do you prefer mornings? Do you prefer an afternoon classes? Things like that. And I kind of did have a cool schedule. I went to class Monday through Thursday, and my classes started at 3 and I got out at 5:30. And so it was actually kind of cool. I got to sleep in, and it was all unison. But the semester after that, I chose my schedule, and it was really like funky. I had a class at 7:30, a class at 9, and then I didn't have another class until 3. I didn't have another class until 3, and then I would have a class at 4:30, and then the next day I would have just one single class. So it was kind of funky. It was kind of weird. This semester I only have 2 days that I'm going to school. I go to school Tuesday and Thursday, so I think that's going to help me a ton, not having such a big schedule. But of course, like I said, for you guys watching this, you're going to be freshmen, you may not have that choice. Just pay attention to all the preliminary questions that they ask you. They're going to ask you, about your schedule, how you want to do things, what you do, different stuff like that, so that they can align you with the right class and the right time frame. And also prepare early, get a feel for your first week of college. How does it feel? How do you like your schedule? Does it affect your sleep? Does it affect this? Is there different things you want to do? Is your job going to affect you? My job didn't, my job at first, when I first started college, did affect me. So know that if you do have a job, that is not lenient with your college schedule, you really need to find another job. Don't let people tell you that, you know, you absolutely cannot have a job in college. You're gonna fail if you do that. It's not necessarily that you're gonna fail, because if you're smart, you're going to do your homework before work. You may even have bosses that will let you do your homework at work, give you an hour lunch break versus like 30 or 15 minutes. I know my boss now is like that. He lets me know, you know, if you need a study break, let me know. If you have finals coming up, let me know. If you have a project, let me know. Things like that, I can tell him ahead of time and he can give me that time off. So if you don't have an environment like that, you may want to consider getting another job, because having a job is great. It is good to have your own money. I definitely 100% recommend, if you want to get a job, because then you can have extra money and extra income for yourself. You're not just living off of, you know, FAFSA or your mom or dad, whoever. But just be aware of when you put in your application for a job, there is a section where you can put comments about your schedule. You can tell them, you know, I'm in school, I need this, and you know, you just have to make sure that you voice your opinion and you time manage very, very well, because time management is going to play against you when you get into college, because you don't have a parent telling you you have to do this, you need to do this at this time and this time and this time. If you have a project due at 3 o'clock and you want to do it at 2:30, you can do that, because it's your education, it's your free reign in that aspect to do that. But you also have to be smart about it. I was not so smart in my first semester. I would sometimes not go to class because I just didn't feel like it. You know, life got in the way, and I would, you know, not go to class a lot, and that affected me, because some professors you will get will count you for attendance. That is something that's going to play against you as well. You necessarily don't have to show up to your class if you don't feel like you want to. Like, if you don't have a big assignment, you just don't feel like it, you don't really have to go to college, or I'm sorry, your college class. But you are going to have some professors that require you be there, or they count points off, or they do different things like that. You need to be aware of those things, because if something were to happen, you know, if you have a family emergency and it's during that time that you have to be at that class, you're going to have to, you know, somehow plan ahead a little bit. Of course, you can't, you know, plan family emergencies, and a lot of professors will understand. They're not, you know, jerks, but you are going to have to be, you know, careful. Don't plan a doctor's appointment on the time that you have, you know, that class, because they're going to count that against you, especially if you don't have a notice, if you just didn't feel good, if you just forgot because you didn't feel good that class is the one that you get counted attendance for. It could turn into an issue. I know that I was affected. I really wasn't affected like terribly, but I probably could have done better in a certain class if I hadn't missed so many days, if I hadn't cut it close, you know, things like that. So there's that. Another big tip that you're going to hear about going to college is getting your textbooks. Getting your textbooks is super expensive, guys. It's so expensive. But there are really great resources. Check is a really good website. I will leave that link below. It's CHEGG, and you can rent your books from them. It was actually really cool for me, because there was a book that I thought I was going to have to purchase in my bookstore on campus, because it was like a workbook, and I went to check, and it was like $7 to rent the book, which was great, because I never used that book. I used that book for like 3 or 4 weeks when we had to read it and, you know, tell her about it, and then we never touched it again, which was awful, because if I would have spent like that $21 or even $30 to keep the book and then I wouldn't even use it. You can resell your books. There's many websites. I will put links to the websites that take your books if you sell it to them, that are awesome, so you can get some of your money back, but there is no guarantee that you will get the full amount of money that you paid for that book. The only time I recommend you like buy books is if it's for your major. Like, I'm a criminal justice major, so this semester I'm going to be taking a law enforcement class, so you know, I may buy that book because it's going to benefit me in the end, because I want to be a, you know, a law enforcement like officer. So I may want to keep that book because it may help me, you know, in the police force or in the academy or whatever. You know, whenever that happens, I may need that book. so it's a good idea to keep it. But for like the first 2 years, you're gonna kind of be doing like, you know, your basics. I took math classes, English classes, you know, I'm taking a Spanish class this coming semester. I'm not really gonna keep those books because I don't really need them. I only need them to get through that course and understand the material, and then I can return it. This semester I only spent $70 going through Check and renting my books, but just one book out of those 4 I think I had, 4, I would have spent $70 for each one of those, so that was pretty good. So I basically I paid the price of one and got 4 books, so that's really, really good. Yeah, $70 is still kind of a sucky price to pay for books, but when you compare it, when you're looking at it, trust me guys, it's super expensive. I had to buy a philosophy book from my bookstore because my professor wrote the book. You're going to run into that as well. Your professors a lot of them are going to be PhDs, so they write their own stuff, they publish their own work. So my teacher published her textbook, so we could not get it anywhere else because she only published it for UIW. So we had to buy it there, and that book cost me $50, and I still have that book, and I don't regret it. Of course, I needed the book to pass, but it just sucks because I can't really get a whole lot of money for that book because it's a book that you only need if you are going to take that class at that university with her. So it kind of sucks a little bit, but it's okay. Like I said, use those resources, rent your books. There is even some government websites that are coming out that are give you some free books for your basics. It's really, really good. So another tip that I'm going to touch on is don't be afraid to take the cheaper alternatives. I am going to a 4-year university. It's 40 grand a year, so you can add that math up in your head and see how much that I'm going to be spending. Of course, I have, you know, FAFSA covering a lot of it, but this last semester that I had, they didn't cover, I think I want to say like $1,300 worth of it for each semester, so times 2. So it was like 20 grand that they did not like help me with, and I had to come up with that on my own. So that kind of sucked a little bit. It really did. I got through it, but it was still like $800 payments that my mom had to put forward. So just be cautious about that stuff. You can go to a 2-year university just to do your basics and then graduate with a bachelor's at a 4-year university and go on to get your master's at that same 4-year university, but it ends up being cheaper. A lot of community colleges you can pay for up front. They're only like $1,000, sometimes $2,000. You can save that up and pay for it up front. Or even if you do take FAFSA, it won't hurt you as bad to pay $1,000 back to them. But it does kind of hurt to pay that much money back. I wish I had the paper that they sent me to show you guys the breakdown. I'll take a picture of it and I'll link it below. I might post it I might not post it up on Facebook or maybe like my Snapchat fam. I don't know. I'll let you guys know in the comments. Maybe I'll just like post the picture in here somewhere of the breakdown of how much money you pay back to financial aid just for like borrowing 10 grand. It's ridiculous. So if you can take the cheaper alternative, take the cheaper alternative. If you can apply for scholarships, apply for every single scholarship possible. There's scholarships and grants from places like Walmart, CVS, Walgreens. You know, there's so many foundations that want to help you go to school. Look into those. Apply to every scholarship you can. I will leave the link to one of the top scholarship websites that you can use. It organizes them all into one section, so you can go and fill out all of those applications. There's also like college help places around town that you can go to. For San Antonio, we have places like Cafe College. If you are in the San Antonio area, I will leave that link below so that you can see what that is and see if you can benefit from that. I will find more places like around the US for my people who are not in the US or not in Texas, and that way you can get help from there as well. And that's pretty much it. If I didn't answer any of your questions in this video, please leave it below. I'll be very, very happy to help you guys out. And yeah, so I'll see you guys in my next week's video. Bye!